Well, my dears, good evening. Hope you are good. So far, we have seen five important points out of 11, right? Out of 11, we have seen five important golden rules to prepare a nice cup of tea. So, this class we will discuss the remaining part, remaining things we will discuss. So, before that, going to the lesson, we should recall what we have read last class, right, my dears? Right. The first point we remember the first point, that is the tea dust, either Ceylonese tea or Indian tea. So the author uses one word, that is invariably, that is Indian tea, right? So if you want to prepare a nice cup of tea, then you have to go for Indian tea, right? Indian tea dust, tea powder. And the second point, right, how the tea has to be prepared. The tea should be prepared in a small quantity. Rather preparing in a big vessel, we should go for a small quantity. Then only you can get the real essence or the real taste of a tea, right? So the teapot should be made either, it should be either in earthen way, or you can go for China way, right? So the second point is teapot, it should be in China way or earthen way. And the third one, it is how to clean the teapot. You have to place the teapot on the hob, and it should be heated, and you have to fill the water, you have to heat it, and then you have to clean the teapot, right? And what is the fourth point? Right, to prepare a nice cup of tea, or he uses one measurement. What is the measurement? Quart. He said quart. So what is the meaning of quart in British English, or in the British? Quart means it is little, right, higher for 1 liter, that we call it as quart. So if you want to prepare a liter of tea, you should use 6 heaped teaspoons to prepare a strong cup of tea, right, my dears? And the fifth point, do you remember fifth point? Fifth point, it is you should use the tea powder straight into the teapot. You should not use, right, the masculine bag, or you should not use any strainers to imprison the tea. So these are the five important points we have discussed in the last class, and today we will move on to the sixth point, right? Okay, page number 39, right? So page number, I'm sorry, 35. So page number 35 starts with the sixth point. Let me read out the paragraph. You listen, or you just go through with the book, my dears, right? Sixthly, one should take the teapot to the kettle and not the other way about. So he uses two important things. One is the teapot as well as the kettle. Kettle will be used to heat the water, boil the water, right? So what he says in the sixth point, see, one should take the teapot to the kettle. Take for example, this is kettle and this is teapot. So you should take the teapot near to the kettle, not in the other way. In some countries, they will take the kettle near to the teapot. See, if they take the kettle near to the teapot, what he says, and the heater, that will get reduced. So that's why the kettle should be under heat. The kettle should be under, no, it has to, the water should be on boiling, right? So you have to take the teapot near to the kettle to mix this, right? And the other way, the water should be actually boiling at the moment of impact. So when you pour the tea, right, when you pour the tea into the kettle, the water should be at a boil. When the impact, right, the impact, it should be boiling, right? So which means that one should keep it on the flame while one pours. So when you pour the tea, right, into the kettle, that should be boiling, right? Not the other way around. The other way around means you don't take the kettle to the teapot, rather you should take the teapot near to the kettle, right? Some people add that one should only use water that has been freshly brought to the boil, but I have never noticed that it makes any difference. So if you go for another way, right, it won't give the real essence or the real thing to get the essence of the tea, right? So the sixth point, it is you should take the teapot near to the kettle, not the kettle near to the teapot, right? What is the seventh point? Very important. Seventhly, after making the tea, one should stir it, or better, give the pot a good shake afterwards, allowing the leaves to settle. The seventh important point, right? After the tea dust, right? When if it is after the tea dust, it is put into the kettle. What you have to do, right? it should be given a shake. Either two things, you can take a spoon, you can stir it. So if you stir it, the essence will be extracted, right, from the leaves, right? And you have to give some time for the tea leaves to be settled down, right? So the seventh point is you should use a spoon, right? But he didn't mention, but if you have to use a spoon, and you with the help of the spoon you should stir it, right? So after stir it, right, you should give some time for the tea leaves to be settled down. Otherwise, one important thing he has used, what is that? You should give a good shake. You just take the a pot and give a shake like this. So when you shake it, definitely what the tea leaves get, the tea leaves will be deposited, or the tea leaves will be settled down, so that the real essence, the extract of the tea will get on, that will mix with the tea, right? And the eighth point, what is the eighth point? One should drink out of a good breakfast cup, that is in the cylindrical cup of the cup, not the flat shallow type. The breakfast cup holds more, and with the other kind, one tea is always half cold before one has to, well started on it. So the eighth point, it is tasting. What is it? Tasting. Here only the important thing, right? So the preparation of tea is another side, whereas the important thing we have come. What is it? Right? How to drink a cup of tea, or what you should use to drink a cup of tea. So he prefers a cylindrical cup, right? Cylindrical, we used to drink a tea in a tumbler, no, right? That is tumbler. A cup means it will be in this much of size. If you see in foreign countries, they will never go for a small one, rather they'll go for a big cup, right? That will get, that will be some half or 1/3/4 of that much quantity will get, right? So we have to go for a cylindrical cup. Why we have to go for the cylindrical cup? Because if you use a cylindrical cup, the temperature, right, the heat will be sustained. Or if you go for a saucer, if you go for a broad one, then definitely when you're about to sip it, at that time itself, the temperature will get reduced. So if you want to drink a tea, that should be highly heated, right? The temperature has to remain, right? So for that only he prefers a cylindrical cup. So if you go for a cylindrical cup, the temperature will be sustained. The temperature will remain as it is in the cylindrical cup when comparing with the saucer, a broad one. So the cup that we drink, right, we have to go for a cylindrical one, that to be in a bigger in size, right? And the breakfast cup holds more, right? So if you want to drink a tea, right, the breakfast cup, the cylindrical cup, that holds more, right? The quantity will be higher, right? So you have to go for the cylindrical cup rather than the flat one, like saucer, no, right? You should not go for that. You have to go for a cylindrical cup, right? And what is the ninth point? Ninthly, one should pour the cream of the milk before using it for tea. Milk that is too creamy always gives tea a sticky taste, right? So when you mix the milk, right, you should remove of the cream. You should remove the layer, right? So after after the boiling, right, after you heat the milk, you can see a layer will be formed on the surface level, a creamy layer, right? And that creamy layer should be removed off. So if you use the tea, right, if you use the milk with a creamy layer, then you will feel a sticky taste, right? You won't feel a sharp. So you will feel a sticky taste when you taste the tea. So when you use the milk, you make sure you are supposed to remove the cream out of the layer of the milk, right? And the 10th point, what is the 10th point? Here only a controversial thing happens. What is it? 10thly, one should pour tea into the cup first. This is one of the most controversial point of all. Indeed, every family in Britain, there are probably two schools of thought that on the subject. The milk first school can bring forward some fairly strong arguments, but I maintain that my own arguments is unanswerable. This is that by putting the tea in the first and stirring as one pours, one can exactly regulate the amount of milk, whereas one is liable to put in too much of milk, one does not the other way around, right? So here only the mixing, right? How to, right, the impact, how to mix the tea. So in Britain, there are two group of people. So according to the one group of people, what they suggest, so what is their argument is, so one side, tea, and other side it is milk. Whether to pour milk into the tea or tea into the milk. So one group of people, they say that you should take, right, you should take, what is that, the milk first, right? Do you understand? See, this is milk and this is a tea. So how to mix this one? Either milk into the tea or the tea into the milk. So as I said earlier, one group of people, they suggest, first you have to take the tea, and with that you have to go for the milk. And another people, what they suggest, no, first you have to take a tea and then you have to add milk. So as per what he says, as per George Orwell, what he suggests, right? So what he says, first you have to take the tea and you have to add the milk into the tea. So when you add milk little by little, when you stir it, you can get the real color of the tea as well as the real taste. Suppose if you add, right, take for example, if you take first milk and if you add tea, means, right, either the weightage of the milk may go up, so you won't get the real taste of the tea. So for that only, according to George Orwell, what he says, right, so you have to take the tea first and pour the milk into the tea. If you pour milk little by little, you can get the real extract of the real taste of the tea. So as per George Orwell, what he says, you have to take the tea first and add milk little by little and stir it, so that you can get the color as well as the strongness of the tea. Rather, milk into the tea. Okay, fine. Lastly, tea. So what is the last point? Unless one is drinking it in the Russian style, should be drunk without sugar. I know very well that I am in a minority here, but still, how can you call yourself a tea lover if you destroy the flavor of your tea by putting sugar in it? So the last point is very, very important, right? So he uses one term, that is the Russian style of drinking tea. What is the meaning of Russian style of drinking tea? You know that? So Russian style of drinking tea, it is nothing but, right, drinking tea without sugar. So one should drink the tea without sugar. That is the right way. But how we are doing? We are just, right, we add sugar to the tea. We are not tasting the tea, rather we are tasting the sugar. So that's what he says. If you add sugar to a tea, you are not tasting the tea, rather you are tasting the sugar, right? So if you are a real lover of a tea, you should drink the tea without sugar, right? So sugar patients, no other way, none other way, right? They have to drink the tea without sugar only. So what is the Russian style of drinking tea? It is drinking a cup of tea without sugar. So if you are a real lover of tea, then you should drink the tea, right, without sugar, right? So if you ask, you can ask your mother, "Mummy, I want a Russian style of tea." She may think that, okay, what is a Russian style of tea? You just tell her that, right, tea without sugar, that is said to be Russian style of tea, right, my dears, right? So it would be equally reasonable to put the pepper or salt. So instead of that, what he says, instead of adding sugar, you can go for salt or pepper. That means you are tasting the salt or sugar or pepper. So if you want to drink a tea, the tea should be drunk without sugar. That is the real taste. So he is called as the real lover of tea, right? If you sweeten it, you are no longer sweet, no longer tasting the tea. You are merely tasting the sugar. So that's what he says. If you add sugar to the tea, you are not tasting the tea, rather you are tasting the sugar. So you could make a very similar drink by dissolving sugar in the plain hot water. That's what he says. Why you are preparing a tea, you are adding and you are destroying the essence of the tea. Better you can have a hot water, you just mix the sugar into it and then have that one. So that's what he says, right? A real lover of tea will never go for a tea with sugar. He will go for a tea without sugar, right? So if you are adding sugar to the tea, you are not tasting the tea, rather you are tasting what? The sugar. Right, my dears? So these are the 11 important, the 11 golden points what the George Orwell says to prepare a nice cup of tea, right? And what else he says? Some people would answer that they don't like tea in itself, that they only drink it in order to be warmed or stimulated, and they need sugar to take the taste away. So if you ask a person, right, why you are drinking a tea, what their answer will be, So when you ask, if you ask the question to them, they will simply say, I'm drinking tea just to get refreshed. I just want to refresh my mind, right? I feel some boredom, right? That's why I'm drinking the tea. Right? So for those kind of people, they will drink tea with the sugar, right? So that is not the important point. What he says, To those misguided people, so these people, right, will be called as a misguided people by George Orwell. So misguided people means, who is the misguided people? The people who drinks tea with sugar. So what he advises or what he says to the misguided people. So I would say, try drinking tea without sugar for say a fortnight. So he asks the people, right, to drink a tea for fortnights, 14 days, 2 weeks. You just practice it. Then definitely what? You will never go for, sugar, right? For tea. If you practice this 14 days, or if you practice a fortnight, or if you practice 2 weeks of time without adding sugar to the tea, definitely you will enjoy the taste. And even if you see a lot of people, they will drink a tea without sugar, or they will add only very less amount of sugar. You know, when you add less amount of sugar, then only you are tasting the essence of the tea, my dears. Right. So according to George Orwell, the misguided people. So what he advises to the misguided people, right? He asks the misguided people to drink the tea without sugar for fortnight. That means 14 days or 2 weeks. Then they will be practiced. They will be adapted to that one. Okay. That you will never want to ruin your tea by sweetening it again. So don't ever do that one. Right, my dears? So according to George Orwell, he advises the misguided people not to drink tea, right, with sugar. Right. And what is the last paragraph talks about? So these are the not only controversial points to rise in the connection with the tea drinking. So these are the points which are not controversial. Still, a lot of controversial points are there. What are they? But they are sufficient to show how subtilized the whole business has become. See, 11 important golden rules he has given. But according to us, a single cup of tea, we have never come across this much explanation or this much process or involved in making of a cup of tea. But how he enjoys that one. So that's what he says, how this business, how the drinking of tea, it has come down. Nobody has an awareness, or nobody knows how to prepare a cup of tea. According to us, right, tea means it is a combination of milk, right, hot water, sugar and tea dust. That's all. But how many of you know these many processes are involved in preparing a nice cup of tea? Nobody knows. Yes, that is the truth. Right. So there is also a mysterious social etiquette surrounding the teapot. And much might be written about the subsidiary use of tea leaves, such as telling fortunes, predicting the arrival of the visitors, feeding rabbits, healing burns, and sweeping the carpet. So apart from this controversial points, right, the tea leaves, when you drink a tea, you can your mind will get refreshed. And moreover, the foreigners, they will just for fun, they used to say they'll predict the the future. And what are things he says? We're telling the fortunes, once what good luck, and predicting the arrival of the visitors. So they may say that okay, after drinking the tea, right, they may have an idea. They'll close their eyes. They may have an idea. Okay, after these many days, or this person will come. After this after this time, he may come, she may come. So they may have a prediction ideas. So this is all myth, right? Okay, fine. You don't go much about into this, right? Feeding a rabbit. So the tea leaves are used to, right, a food for the rabbits, and healing burns, right? If you go to cold regions, right, Ooty, Kodaikanal means, if anything happens, right, if any wound happens, what they will do, they will pluck the tea leaves, they will squeeze it, and they will just apply on the wound, right? So that will help us to, right, serve as a thing. And healing burns and sweeping the carpet, right? Even till now, right, if you go to interior parts of Ooty or Kodaikanal or some other countries, some other places, they will use not broomsticks, they will use the tea leaves as a broomsticks to sweep the carpets, right? And it is worth paying attention to such details as warming the pot and using the water that is really boiling, as well as to make them quite sure of wringing out of one's ration the 20 good strong cups of that 2 ounces properly handled out to represent. So apart from these things, there are a lot of things, right? What are things, how to prepare, what type of thing has to be used, whether to add milk or tea first, and a cylindrical cup or flat one. So lot of controversial points are there. So we are not aware of those things. So that's what he says, right? To drink a cup of tea, right, it involves lot of procedures. So if you undergo these kind of procedures, definitely you are a real lover of tea. Right? And moreover, what he says, right, the drinking of the tea without sugar. So these are the important things he has shared in this second prose, right? Is a nice cup of tea by George Orwell, right? So he has given 11 important golden rules to prepare a nice cup of tea. Hope you understood this lesson, right? If you want to prepare a nice cup of tea, then what you have to do? You have to read the lesson first. So read the lesson first, and you just extract the points how to prepare a cup of tea, and don't ask your mom. This definitely she'll be tense, right? So don't I mean, I insist her to give this and that. No, don't go for that. You just right, you prepare by yourself, right? I think you have explained you, and moreover you have the textbook, right? At least for time being, right? You start preparing, right? What are the ways he has given? Let me see, right? How far you are preparing a nice cup of tea or a cup of tea after seeing this. This lesson after listening to this class, right, my dears? So the first part, right? We have seen 5 important and remaining things we have seen today. So hope you understood the lesson. So even if you have, or if at all if you have any doubt, kindly let me know with a text or just make a phone call so that I can rectify your doubts at the end. Right, my dears? So take care. See you. Bye bye.